The models have moved on considerably, although everything that's been done has been covered, at least in part, before. Great Western 262 is certainly taking on the shape of this locomotive. One of the things that I have mentioned are the lamp brackets on Great Western locomotives. Now, in the past, this would have been considered super detailing, but such is the standard now that in fact it's basic detailing. Now, the Great Western always did things differently, not least that their lamp brackets, they're on the side where everybody else's were to the full on the front. Now, these are available in the kit as part of the etch, and they have to be made up and bent and fitted. It's time consuming, but it's the only way really to do it. Dave Ellis does provide them as part of the etch, and they're soldered in from the back. Similarly, the front lamp bracket on top of the Smokebox and the 3 on the front. I'll show you how we solder in the final one. I'm holding it in place with self-locking tweezers. That way there's less likelihood of it disappearing. Note please that I have already tinned it. Remember, you won't solder brass into white metal without tinning it with ordinary solder first. That goes into the pre-drilled hole. You don't want too much heat here. The last thing you want to do is melt this rather neat little piece at the back, little refuge for the lamp bracket. Low melt solder, and it should just fizz into position. All of this must be done before the bunker, the load, the coal, or whatever it is, goes in place. There we are. That's come through very nicely. And the bracket's in place. That we can snip off later. The outside steam pipes have to be fixed next. Now, such is the fine fit that I fettled this and dropped it in place, and it's such a good fit it won't come out. But we're left with a bit of a paradox here, that certainly the top of the steam pipe can be soldered from the inside, but not the bottom. I'm going to use adhesive for the bottom, and it's vital that this is done in the right order. Whatever adhesive you use, whether it's cyano glue or epoxy resin or polyester resin, all of those react nastily with heat. Certainly cyano does. You don't want to get super glue anywhere near heat. So what I'm going to do is solder the top end first of this from the inside with low melt solder. I hope you can see it's just protruding through. Plenty of flux. And that's come through beautifully. Clear off any excess solder. Now, to solder that from the outside would be possible. In fact, in some cases, it might even be easier. But there'd be a heck of a mess to clean up. This is super glue. It's a sort of medium runny super glue. The very, very runny super glue I don't recommend. It flashes all too quickly. And the easiest trick is just to put a small amount on the end, not onto the bench. You can wipe that up afterwards. Much too much. A small amount on the end of a piece of wire. Capillary action will draw it in and secure the base. The slightly more viscous superglue will act as a filler. The very runny stuff flashes all over the place, all over your fingers, all over the bench. I've just dropped a bit there, but that will come off very, very quickly. Don't worry if there's a little bit too much. That will sink in and set, and then we can clean it up later. but that really is secured now. I don't know if you can see, there's a slight lip there. That's now filled with super glue, and by the time it's cleaned up, it will be invisible. Obviously, that's the way to do it. Solder first, then the glue. Whatever you do, don't try soldering after that. The next stage is to fit these supports. I don't know whether they're unique to Great Western engines, but they're certainly a feature of them. I've bent the wire already. It's a bit of a fiddle, and it's a very, very snug fit. Make sure that's a nice snug fit. It's made from 0.7 nickel silver wire, which has been already tinned. Once again, solder from the inside, whatever one does. If you can, solder from the inside. Keep on repeating that, but it's one of the first principles. Check that that's come through. It will probably need a little tweak. They always seem to. Don't be too worried if you get a little bit of distortion on the wire. You can straighten that out afterwards. It's important it goes in snugly. Again, soldering from the back. Clean up afterwards, and that solder has come through beautifully. Next thing we can do is fit the smoke box door. Now, I've already popped in the dart. This is a cast dart. You can in fact get replacement brass ones, which in many ways are superior, but this is pretty good. It didn't need much cleaning up. They very handily put a little step, which should be there, which should aid the correct location. Now that should just drop in place. It's a nice snug fit. Press it in. Now, this is the locomotive's face in more ways than one. If you get this wrong, the whole character of the model will be spoiled. There we are. It shouldn't overlap anywhere. I'm going to hold it in place with super glue. Capillary action will take it in. And because this is the more viscous super glue, you'll find it will act as its own filler. It'll clean up very easily with a fiberglass pencil or the aid of a knife later on. But I'm going to leave that to one side now, just for a few minutes, and then I'll show you how we fit the chimney on.